Let's be brutally honest for a second, just between you and me. Have you ever found yourself in a moment of, let's call it perfectly engineered misery? I'm talking about that feeling when you know you should go to bed, but you stay up doom scrolling until your eyes burn. I'm talking about picking at a scab you know you should leave alone. Or maybe it's replaying a stupid argument in your head, over and over, feeling that hot flash of anger each time, almost on purpose. You know the right thing to do, the logical, healthy, good-for-you thing, and yet you choose the opposite. You lean into the discomfort. You choose the path that guarantees a little bit more pain. Why? What is that strange, dark gravity that pulls us toward our own private disasters? It's a question that can drive you mad. And for the answer, we can't just look at modern psychology or self-help books. We have to go deeper. We have to travel back to the gaslit streets of 19th century St. Petersburg and meet a man who was arguably one of the greatest psychological profilers who ever lived. His name was Fyodor Dostoevsky. Part 1: The Addict in the Underground. And Dostoevsky created a character so unsettling, so pathologically honest, that he serves as the perfect blueprint for this bizarre human tendency. This character is our patient zero for the addiction to self-sabotage. He's called the Underground Man. Now, the Underground Man isn't a hero. He's not even an anti-hero. He's a nobody, a ghost, a bitter, resentful, hyper-intelligent man stewing in a miserable little apartment he calls his underground. He's a retired civil servant with just enough money to survive but not enough to live. And he spends his days and nights writing a rambling, venomous confession to an audience that doesn't exist. He is, in his own words, a sick man, a spiteful man. And right at the beginning of his confession, he gives us the perfect, most unforgettable metaphor for this entire phenomenon. He talks about having a toothache. The Underground Man isn't addicted to the physical pain of the toothache. He's addicted to the story of his toothache. He's addicted to his own suffering because it's the one thing he feels he can truly own. It's his identity. I am the man with the agonizing toothache. Pity me. Despise me. At least you're noticing me. Sound familiar? This is the dark logic we're talking about. The toothache is whatever you cling to that causes you pain, but also gives you a twisted sense of purpose or identity. It's the dead-end job you complain about constantly but never leave, because being the person who hates their job is easier than the terror of searching for a new one. It's the toxic relationship you keep returning to, because the drama and the pain feel more intense and real than the quiet uncertainty of being alone. It's the story you tell yourself, I'm just not good with money, I'm always unlucky in love, I'm a procrastinator. That becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The suffering becomes comfortable. It's a reliable brand of misery that we know how to navigate. It's our underground. Dostoevsky saw this over 150 years ago. We are creatures who can, and often do, become addicted to the very things that destroy us. Not out of stupidity, but out of a perverse need to feel something, anything that is truly our own. So we've diagnosed the what. We've seen the addict in his underground, nursing his toothache. But that just leads to the next, even more terrifying question. Why? What is the psychological payoff? What could possibly be so important, so fundamental to our identity, that we would choose guaranteed misery over a chance at happiness? Well, the answer has everything to do with a simple mathematical equation. 2 + 2 = 4. And why, for the underground man, that simple truth is the most oppressive tyranny in the world. Part 2. The tyranny of 2 + 2 = 4. So why nurse the toothache? What is the grand prize for choosing the path of most resistance? The Underground Man gives us an answer, and it's one of the most profound and frankly terrifying insights into human nature ever written. He says he does it to rebel against one simple, infuriating fact: 2 + 2 = 4. Now, that sounds insane, right? How can you rebel against basic math? That's like getting angry at gravity. But for Dostoevsky, that little equation represents something much bigger. It represents the cold, hard, logical facts of the universe. It's the wall of reason. It's the world telling you what is sensible, what is rational, and what is in your own best interest. To understand his rage, you have to understand the nightmare he was fighting against. In his time, a lot of thinkers believed in the idea of a future utopia, a perfect society built on science and reason. Dostoevsky called this idea the Crystal Palace. Imagine a world where everything has been figured out. Science has solved all of our problems. There's no more poverty, no more disease, no more suffering. Every human action can be calculated. We know exactly what you need to eat, how you need to work, and who you need to love to achieve maximum happiness. It's a perfect, logical, predictable paradise. It's a world where 2 + 2 always = 4. And the Underground Man looks at this perfect crystal palace, this utopia of happiness and reason, and he is filled with absolute violent disgust. Why? Because in a world where every choice is the logical choice, there is no choice at all. If your entire life is just a series of calculations to achieve a pre-programmed happiness, are you even human anymore? Or are you just an organ stop in a giant machine? A piano key being played by the laws of nature? This is the core of his rebellion. The Underground Man argues that the single most important thing to a human being is not happiness, not health, not wealth, but free will. The ability to choose for yourself, even if that choice is irrational, illogical, and spectacularly self-destructive. He would rather be a miserable human with the freedom to choose his misery than a happy ant in a perfectly organized anthill. And so he rebels. He rebels against the advice of doctors. He rebels against social convention. He rebels against his own self-interest. He stands before the giant, impenetrable wall of 2 + 2 = 4. And instead of accepting it, he screams, "I don't care. I choose 5." He desires the right to desire something stupid, something harmful, something that makes no sense. Why? Simply to prove to himself and to the universe that he is a man and not a piano key. This is the dark engine driving our own self-sabotage. Think about it. Our modern world is its own kind of crystal palace. We are bombarded with life hacks, the 7 habits of highly effective people, the perfect morning routine, the optimized diet, the algorithm that tells you what movie to watch, what music to listen to, who to date. It's the tyranny of the sensible, the suffocating logic of what you should do. And sometimes, a part of you, the Underground Man deep inside you, just wants to burn it all down. Procrastinating on that final exam is not just laziness. It's a rebellion against the crushing expectation to succeed. It's your subconscious screaming, "You can't make me!" Staying out too late and ruining your sleep before a huge presentation? It's an act of defiance against your own ambition. You are proving that you are the master of your own chaos, not a slave to your calendar. Choosing the person who is all wrong for you. You're rejecting the sensible checklist of what makes a good partner. You are choosing with your scars, with your chaos, with your will. It's a terrible choice, but it is yours. This is the paradox. Our self-sabotage is often a desperate, painful, misguided attempt to feel free. We wreck our own lives to prove that we are the ones holding the steering wheel. We will gladly accept suffering as long as we get to be the author of it. So if this impulse is so deeply ingrained in us, this rebellion against reason, this need to prove our own freedom by making bad choices, what in the world do we do? Are we just doomed to an endless cycle of building ourselves up and tearing ourselves down? Is there a way to honor that need for freedom without destroying everything we care about? How do you find the exit to your own underground maze? Part 3: Finding the exit to your own maze. So here we are, trapped in a maze of our own making. We have a fundamental, desperate need to feel free, but the only way we know how to express it is by driving our own car off a cliff just to prove we're the ones steering. What do we do? How do we escape this cycle? Well, first, let's talk about what doesn't work. The most common response to our own self-sabotage is to get angry at ourselves. We double down on logic. We say, "That was so stupid. I'll never do that again." We download another productivity app, make a more rigid schedule, and try to build the walls of the Crystal Palace around ourselves. We try to fight the underground man with more 2 + 2 = 4. And what happens? He just rebels harder. He finds a new, more inventive way to set the house on fire. Trying to crush this part of yourself with pure logic is like trying to put out a grease fire with water. You're just gonna make it explode. The real exit from the maze isn't about destroying the rebel inside you. It's about understanding him and then giving him a better cause. The solution is a 2-step process. Step 1: acknowledge the man in the underground. The power of the underground man comes from the fact that he operates in the dark. He's a bitter, resentful whisper. Your first job is to turn on the lights. The next time you feel that pull, the urge to procrastinate, to pick a fight, to make the bad choice, I want you to stop. And instead of calling yourself lazy or undisciplined, I want you to personify that feeling. Say, "Hello there, I see you." Acknowledge what's really happening. You're not lazy, you feel trapped. You're not undisciplined. You feel like a cog in a machine and you're desperate to feel in control. Just by observing the impulse without judgment, you create a space between you and it. You are no longer the prisoner of the feeling. You are the watcher of the feeling. In that tiny space, you get your power back. You prove you have free will not by obeying the destructive urge, but simply by noticing it. Step 2: give the rebel a better job. That powerful need for freedom and autonomy is not your enemy. It's one of the most vital parts of your humanity. The problem is that it's unemployed, it's bored, so it resorts to vandalism, wrecking your life for a cheap thrill. You need to give it a mission, a constructive one. Find a way to express your freedom that builds you up instead of tearing you down. This requires asking a deeper question. If you're rebelling against your diet, maybe the real rebellion isn't eating a pint of ice cream. Maybe the real act of freedom is learning to cook for yourself, rejecting the processed food industry entirely. If you're rebelling against your career by procrastinating, maybe the answer isn't a better to-do list. Maybe the true act of defiance is to start that side project you've always dreamed of, the one that is 100% yours, with no boss and no external expectations. You take that chaotic, rebellious energy and you channel it. You aim it at a target that matters. You prove your freedom not by choosing suffering, but by choosing your own definition of success. Dostoevsky's great warning is that a world without suffering, a world that is perfectly logical and comfortable, is a world that can crush the human soul. But his great insight is that we don't have to be slaves to that rebellion. True freedom isn't the spiteful, childish freedom to break your own toys. That's a prison of its own. True freedom is the difficult, adult choice to become the conscious author of your own life. It's about bringing that pale, spiteful man out of his underground cellar, letting him feel the sun, and telling him, we don't have to burn this world down to prove we exist. We can build one of our own. That is how you escape the maze. Not by finding an exit, but by realizing you were the architect all along. Dostoevsky's work is like a mirror, and sometimes the reflection is deeply unsettling. If this deep dive into the human mind resonated with you, if it sparked something, hit that subscribe button, because we are just getting started. And now, I have a question for you, a real one. What is your toothache? Comment below with the one area in your life where you notice your own inner underground man showing up the most. There's no judgment here. Let's just bring this entire conversation out of the underground and into the light. Thank you for watching.